Alright, so today's lesson is all about taking kind of what we learned and putting those ratio tables onto a graph. So we're going to be on pages 48 and 49 in your math journal, so that way you can look there and kind of follow along. I kind of want to go over ratio tables or rate tables again, just to give you a reminder of what they are and how they can be used. So if you want to pause this, go ahead and try to fill these out on your own in your math journal, and then unpause it and see how you did. First question says, admission to a local art museum is $8 for each adult. How much does it cost for 4 adults to attend the museum? So really, this middle box, we don't necessarily need it. I could say, let's see, how much would 2 adults cost? Well, 1 times 2 is 2, and 8 times 2 is 16. And then I could say that 2 times 2 is 4, and 16 times 2 is 32. So it would cost $32 for 4 adults to attend the museum. Okay. Second one says, Kim can run 8 miles in 60 minutes. At this rate, how long will it take her to run 2 miles? Okay. Really, one of the easiest things to do is try to find a unit rate. So let's see how long it takes her for 1 mile, or I could do it even easier, and let's put it to 4 because I could half 4 into 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 60 divided by 2 is 30. And then to get the next one, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. So it would take her 15 minutes to run that 2 miles. And finally, we have 2 pounds of ground beef will make 12 cups of chili. How many pounds of ground beef will Rashad need if he wants to make 18 cups of chili? Well, this one's easier to go to a unit rate. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide 2 by 2 to get 1. And we're going to divide 12 by 2 to get 6. Okay, so that's my unit rate. So for every 1 pound of ground beef, it's 6 cups of chili. Now I see that I could take 6, multiply it by 3 to get 18, so I do 1 times 3 to get 3. So I would need 3 pounds of ground beef to make that 18 cups of chili. So hopefully you did well. Because really what we're going to do today is we're going to take this concept and all of this, okay, so we're going to take like a ratio table, and we're going to put it onto a graph. Because these guys all make coordinate points. So today's essential question is, how do you represent ratios and rates on a coordinate grid? And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to answer this question for me in your composition book. And today we're going to learn how to graph ordered pairs, which is really just a review, and to compare ratios when we graph them. So you should have already written your vocab down. That was the first thing you were supposed to do today when you came into class. These are all the These are all the vocab words that we're going to use today. So we have coordinate plane, origin, x-axis, y-axis, ordered pair, x-coordinate, y-coordinate, and graph. All right, so here's the first thing. This first problem, it is in your math journal, but I'm going to kind of go through it with you step by step. So we have a table over here, that's this guy, that shows the cost in dollars to create CDs of digital photos out of Photoshop. The table also shows this information as ordered pairs. Graph the ordered pairs. So when we're making that rate table, okay, generally we only have these two right here. You don't normally have that ordered pair. But as you can see, you can turn those guys into ordered pairs. So a ratio can be written as an ordered pair. So when we're graphing these, first thing I want to do, I need to make sure I label each axis. Well, this is my x and this is my y, and I need to explain what the x-axis represent. In this problem, they give it to us. X is going to be my number of CDs, okay? And then my y is going to be my cost in dollars. So I write that at the side. Cost in dollars, okay? That way I know what I'm graphing here. And then all I have to do is graph. If it is not labeled, this guy here in the corner is 0, this one. All right, and then you can count by whatever you want. So when I'm looking, I have just 1, 2, 3 CDs and 3, 6, 9. Well, I'm pretty sure I can count by ones. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. So all I have to do now is plot those. So the first ordered pair is 1, 3. That's right here. The next one is 2, 6. And then my next one is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And you can see it kind of shows what's happening. You could almost make a line going through these points. And you could see that the more CDs you make, because as we move this way, okay, as we move to the right on my x-axis, the cost is going up. So it's going, every CD you make, you're going to spend more money. Okay, so we can actually use this graph to kind of tell us what's going on and be able to even compare them. All right, so this is the second thing where we want to describe the pattern. I kind of just did that in my previous slide. So again, same stuff, same thing here, so I backed it up. Now it just asked me on here to describe the pattern. Well, as you can see, your cost is increasing. It kind of looks like it's increasing in a line. And what you can also do is look at how you get from one point to the other. So if you notice, I went up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So when I go over 1 CD, I go up $3. So you can see that the cost is increasing by $3 for every CD created. And that's where they get that answer from the example in your book. Okay. So if you want, go ahead and try the got it question underneath of problem 2. I didn't put it in here because I just wanted you to try it on your own and then you can check it with me. I'm just going to keep moving. So the other thing we can do when we're graphing is we can actually compare our ratios. And how we can do this is by having 2 different tables and then comparing kind of the numbers in them to see. And graphing them is even easier to be able to see it. So we're going to kind of do this one at a time. So the first thing we're going to do here is we have 2 friends who are making scrapbooks. Renee places 4 photos on each page of her scrapbook, and Gina places 6 on each page of hers. We're going to make a table for each of them to show it. Okay? So we have Renee over here, and then we have Gina over here. So our pages, all right, so the number of pages is going to be our X, and then my photos that are on each page, that'll be my Y, and then we'll just put the coordinate point right there, like that, okay? It's going to be the same thing for Gina, so we're going to have pages as our X, and then photos as our Y, and then you just have your XY coordinate, okay? So, we know that Renee places, so we'll start with her, 4 photos on each page. So that means for one page, we have 4 photos. If we go to 2 pages, 1 times 2 is 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. 3 pages, we do 1 times 3 is 3. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And then for 4 pages, you would end up with 16 photos. Okay, so you have our points 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, and 4, 16. Gina, on the other hand, is putting 6 photos on each page. So for her, 1 page gives her 6 photos. 2 pages would give her 12. 3 pages would give her 18. And 4 pages would give her 24. So there's our points, 1, 6, 2, 12, 3, 18, and then 4, 24. So that's kind of like our step 1. If you're ever wanting to compare ratios, especially of 2 different people, this is one way that you can do it, is put them on a graph. So first, you would have to make the table. So once we have the tables, you guessed it, now we're going to end up needing to graph it. So I'll come back to the other slide. It's just a second example. So I'm not going to fill these back in fully. I'm just going to kind of put it in 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, 4, 16, okay, and that's Renee. And then Gina was 1, 6, 2, 12, 3, 18, and 4, 24. Okay. Now, so looking at this graph, on the x-axis, we've already established that we're going to have number of pages. And then on my y, it's going to be number of photos. Now, looking at the number of pages, it would make sense to only count by ones on the bottom. Okay. However, when I look at the numbers that I have for the number of photos, I'm probably going to want to count by something a little higher than 1. So I can choose, if I had a big enough graph, I could choose 2s because they're all factors, they're all multiples of 2. I could even choose 4, I could choose, so it's really up to you. I'm going to go ahead and choose 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and plot them now. So Renee's going to be in blue and Gina will be in green. Okay. So Renee, for 1, she had 4 photos. So 3 is at the first line, so I'm going to go somewhere a little bit above because it's not quite in the middle, but it's going to be a little above 3. And then I got 8 for 2. That's going to be closer to 9. So put a point right there. For 3, I have exactly 12. And then for 4, I have 16, which again, that 15 is right there, so we're going to put it just a little bit above. And as you can see, again, it's kind of making a line. And then in green, we have Gina. So for 1, she's doing 6. For 2, she has 12. For 3, she has 18. And then for 4, 24. Okay. So as you can see here, we've graphed those ordered pairs. And really, we could almost use them to kind of see what's happening. So as you can see, if I kind of draw a line through each of them, all right, so there's one, and here's another. You can see that the green line is increasing quicker than the blue line, which kind of says that Gina is going to have more photos quicker than Renee will, okay? So she's got more photos going on in her book. All right, so again, we can kind of explain by looking at the graphs, you know, what's going on between there two. And again, you can see that Gina's line is steeper, or going up faster than Renee's line. So, you know, we can kind of say that she has more photos than Renee does. But at this point, if you feel like you're good enough and you don't need to see anymore and you kind of understand what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and skip to the last page here. How did what you learned today help you answer that essential question? Okay, so how did that help? And then what I want you to do is there's a worksheet on graphing ratios. I want you to complete it. Make sure you ask me any questions that you have. And once you've finished that worksheet, get it checked, okay? So make sure you get it checked by me, and then you're going to pick up an activity. You're going to plan a cookout, and you're going to complete that. All right? If you still feel like you need some more help, just stay on the line because I'm going to back this up and do a couple more examples for you. But if you're good, go ahead and stop here. All right, so if you're still with me, you kind of need a little bit more help. So I'm going to back it up, okay, to here and go through one more example for you. So Snapshot is a digital photo service that charges 20 cents per photo, and then MyPics charges 12 cents per photo. So I'm just going to kind of make Snapshot red, and then I'm going to make MyPics green. And we're going to make a table for the photos. So we're going to make number of photos, our X. That's going to be our X, okay? So number of photos, and then price is going to be our Y. okay, for both. So Snapshot is going to be here, and then MyPics is going to be over here. So for Snapshot, for 1, 2, 3, 4 photos, so for one photo in Snapshot, it's 20 cents. Okay. And then that means 2 photos is going to be 40 cents. 3 would be 60. And then 4 would be 80. And then going towards to the other one with MyPics. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So one photo is going to be 12. Then 2 photos would be 24. For 3 photos, it would be 36. And then for 4 photos, it would be 48. Okay. So there's my information. And again, I can make them into ordered pairs. So it would be 1, 12 on this side for the first one, and then so on and so forth. And then 1, 20, so on and so forth. Okay. So you're just kind of doing, starting with the 1 is 20 cents, and then 2. 1 times 2 is 2, so 20 times 2 is 40. That's where these numbers are coming from. So then I can go from there, and I can actually take and graph these. So again, just to remind you, Snapshot here, so 1, 20, 2, 40, 3, 60, 4, 80, and then MyPics in green, 1, 12, 2, 24, 3, 36, and 4, 48. So what I can now do is put these on my coordinate plane. So across the bottom is going to be number of photos. All right. And then on the other side is going to be price in cents. Okay. So across the bottom, it makes sense to count by ones because we only did 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you notice, I've got 20, 40, 60, 80, and then 12, 24, 36, 48. So I probably want to count, I got to make sure I get up to 48. So might not be a bad idea to count by tens. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay. Now, if I had a bigger graph or I had more paper, I could cut it down and maybe count by 4s. 4s would probably be a lot easier, but because I'm restricted for how large my graph is here, I'm going to go ahead and count by 10s. So when I'm plotting Snapshot, I'm going to plot that in red. So I would go over to 1 and go up to 20. From 2 to 40, 3 to 60, and 4 to 80. And then when it comes to MyPics, I use the green for that. So 1 to 12. Okay, so I put that a little above the 10. 2 to 24, so it's a little closer to half. 3 to 36. And then 4 to 48. So there are my 2 situations graphed on a coordinate plane. And I can kind of use this to, again, compare. So as you can see, they look like lines. So I really could connect the dots. So I would have that line, and then I would have this line. And if you notice, the red dots, so Snapshot, is steeper. So it's rising faster than the green dots for MyPics. And what's happening is that you're going to pay more if you order from Snapshots than you would from MyPics because that line is so much steeper. So that's something that I could see and be able to compare just by looking at that graph. If you still have questions, come see me and we can work together and I can help you figure out what's going on.